Hey, Habs fans, are you feeling a mix of intrigue and reluctance right now? What if I told you that the Montreal Canadiens are setting a firm price for Jake Evans, a versatile forward who's caught the eye of the Winnipeg Jets as a potential trade target? With insider Pierre LeBrun revealing the asking price on a recent TSN Insider Trading episode, the rumor mill is heating up. Today, we're diving into the details of this possible trade, analyzing what the Jets might offer, and debating whether moving Evans makes sense for Montreal at this stage of their rebuild. Let's break down this developing story and see if the Habs should cash in or hold on to their reliable center. Let's start with the latest scoop straight from the insider's mouth. On TSN Insider Trading, Pierre LeBrun dropped a bombshell about the Canadiens' stance on Jake Evans, a 28-year-old forward who's emerged as a trade candidate for teams like the Winnipeg Jets. I don't think they're interested in getting a third or fourth round pick for Jake Evans, LeBrun stated. That doesn't move the needle for them. They'd rather keep him and try to make a push for the playoffs. I think the minimum, the floor, is a second round pick at worst for Montreal in a Jake Evans trade. So teams need to step up. The Jets, who are exploring options to bolster their bottom six forwards or add a second-tier center, have reportedly shown interest in Evans as they aim to improve their roster for a deep playoff run. Now, let's take a closer look at why Jake Evans is drawing attention and what he brings to the table. In 60 games during the 2024-25 season, Evans has tallied 12 goals and 28 points, just shy of his career highs in both categories, and he's on pace to surpass them in fewer games. Beyond the numbers, his value lies in his versatility. He's a dangerous penalty killer, wins over 52% of his faceoffs, and is defensively reliable, making him an ideal third or fourth line center for a contending team like Winnipeg. For the Habs, who started 2025-26 with a promising 3-1-0 record, Evans is a key depth piece, contributing to their push for a playoff spot after returning to the postseason last year. At a cap hit of $1.7 million, he's a cost-effective player, but with his contract expiring at the end of the season, he'll become an unrestricted free agent, UFA, and negotiations for an extension are reportedly stalled, with both sides far apart on terms. Let's explore why the Canadiens are holding firm at a second-round pick as their asking price. Losing Evans for nothing in free agency would be a textbook case of poor asset management, especially in a seller's market where depth forwards with playoff utility are in high demand. Montreal believes they've moved past the early stages of their rebuild, as LeBrun notes, and are focused on competing now while still building for the future. A third or fourth round pick doesn't advance their goals. It's negligible in terms of immediate impact or long-term value. A second round pick, however, is a significant asset, one that could be flipped in a future trade for a higher-end player or used to draft a promising prospect. GM Kent Hughes, known for maximizing returns, as seen in past deals, isn't budging unless the offer aligns with Evans' worth as a proven, multifaceted contributor. Let's consider perspective of the Winnipeg Jets and whether they'd meet Montreal's price. The Jets are in win-now mode, sitting near the top of the Central Division with a roster built for a deep playoff push. Evans fits their need for a bottom-six center who can kill penalties, win draws, and chip in offensively during a grueling postseason. A second-round pick might seem steep for a player with modest point totals, but as LeBrun suggests, his intangibles, defensive reliability and face-off prowess, boosts his value for a contender. Winnipeg has draft capital to play with, including their own 2026 second-rounder, and could potentially sweeten the deal with a lower-tier prospect if needed. However, they'll need to weigh if Evans is worth that cost compared to other available depth options on the market, especially with other teams likely circling as his UFA status looms. Of course, there are risks and reasons for the Habs to hesitate. Trading Evans mid-season could disrupt the chemistry of a team that's shown early promise in 2025-26. His role as a dependable bottom-six center and penalty killer is harder to replace than it seems, especially with Montreal still developing younger forwards like Owen Beck or Oliver Kapanen. If contract talks are stalling, there's a chance Evans walks for nothing in free agency, but keeping him for a playoff push might outweigh the return of a second-round pick, especially if the Habs believe they can re-sign him at a reasonable rate later. From Winnipeg's side, overpaying for a depth piece could limit their flexibility for bigger moves at the trade deadline. Both GMs, Hughes and Kevin Sheldayoff will need to balance short-term gains with long-term strategy in any potential deal. Let's step back and look at the broader implications. For the Canadiens, trading Jake Evans for a second-round pick would be a pragmatic move, turning a potential UFA loss into a valuable asset while still maintaining a competitive roster with depth players like Christian Dvorak or others stepping up. It aligns with Hughes' reputation for calculated asset management, ensuring Montreal doesn't lose value for nothing. For the Jets, acquiring Evans would bolster their playoff readiness, adding a gritty, versatile forward who thrives in high-stakes situations. This isn't a blockbuster, but it's the kind of under-the-radar trade that can quietly shift a team's fortunes, especially as the Habs transition from rebuilding to contending. As we wrap this up, I'm fascinated by the idea of Jake Evans as a trade chip and what a second-round pick could mean for Canadiens' future. Setting a firm price shows Kent Hughes isn't willing to let a valuable player go for peanuts, especially with Evans' versatility and impending UFA status. While losing him would sting for a team pushing for playoffs in 2025 or 26, the return could fuel bigger moves down the line. Whether the Jets or another suitor step up with the right offer remains to be seen, but this rumor underscores Montreal's shift toward balancing competitiveness with strategic planning. It's not a headline grabber, but it's a chess move worth watching. So, Habs Nation, I'm turning it over to you. Would you trade Jake Evans for a second-round pick, or do you think he's too crucial for our playoff hopes? Drop your takes in the comments. I'm curious to see if this potential deal sparks the same debate in you as it does in me. And if you're intrigued by how this fits into the Habs' bigger picture, hit that like button to show your support. Let's keep this conversation rolling as we watch Montreal navigate the 2025-26 season. Until next time, keep cheering and bleed blue, blanc, et rouge.